It's time to step up your game.
Let's get ready to rumble!
You're listening to Game On,
Falcon Punch!
your inside track to gaming and fitness.
Of course!
Mamma mia! We've got interviews one-on-one with your gaming experts.
Hi, folks. This is Jim Cummings.
This is Courtney Taylor.
This is Duke Nukem.
And we'll help you keep fit along the way.
It's time for the moment you've been waiting for.
Get ready, because Game On starts now.
Game on! Game on! Game on!
Hey everyone, Jeff Johnson here. I finally did it. I finally beat the first game being featured on the pile of shame, Metal Gear Solid 4, and it's been quite the experience. You've seen some of my gameplay from earlier on in the game, but I got on a bit of a rush, went through a good chunk of the game, and decided I'm going to bring you a bit of a feature showcasing some of the best aspects and some of the worst aspects of Metal Gear Solid 4. This is what we've been building to through this Pile of Shame feature. We're ending this in two more features, one of them focusing on the worst aspects of Metal Gear Solid 4, the other focusing on the best parts of Metal Gear Solid 4. So, lots to go over here, lots of great content to be seen. As you can see, you're seeing a lot of video footage in the background right now. So, before we get going, I just want to stress that the visual content that you are seeing in this video is property of Konami. They're the ones who created this game, so we gotta recognize them for this great experience. Also, gotta recognize David Hayter, the voice of Solid Snake, for all of the effort he put into this project as well. Kudos to both of you, kudos to Konami, kudos to David Hayter, and let's take a look at this. Here are my 5 worst aspects of Metal Gear Solid 4. Number 5. The running gag on smoking. Remember when smoking used to be a status symbol? Remember when smoking fell out of favor in the 1990s? This joke should have died with it. Now, I'm not anti-smoking in the slightest. You do whatever you want with your cancer sticks. But I just feel all the smoking scenes are completely forced in this game. The cigarettes as an item was fun in Metal Gear Solid. It made for a few laughs and even had a practical use. Here, not so much. It's painful to watch and has no practical use. I mean, I cringed at the scene when Snake raised his hand in the Outer Haven meeting and asked, "Does anybody have a smoke?" It's such a forced scene. It really has terrible comedic timing. And, I mean, why does Snake even need cigarettes? It's not like it enhances his coolness or anything. Really, what has Snake done to be cool? How about just being freaking Solid Snake? Does that work for everybody? Number 4. I'm getting this out of the way right now. I hated Sunny. I found her annoying. I found starting every single mission briefing with her cooking eggs to be a waste of time. And really, Sunny represents over 1,000 little girl characters you see in anime everywhere. If it's a JRPG or a J whatever, you will see the cutesy little girl with the great power or the superhuman intellect. That's Sunny. That's Sunny to a T. And in this game, that comes across as annoying. Number 3. The big boss scene at the end. No, guys, I am not showing you footage from the ending of the game. I know that the game has been out for 5 years now. I know, and you all have probably seen it already. But no, I am still not spoiling the ending here. I mean, for me, it took me so long to get to this game. For everyone else who has a gaming backlog about a mile high, this is for your benefit. Anyway, big boss. Would somebody mind telling me how somebody who has been supposedly dead since before the first Metal Gear Solid game is back and walking around? I mean, in my opinion, the ending of this game, for the ultimate dramatic effect, should have happened a few cutscenes earlier with this scene. Yeah, pretty grim, eh? But really, think about this. You can't leave it open for a sequel with that kind of ending. So instead, we got this scene. Big Boss goes on for 20 minutes about the state of world politics and bringing everything back to Zero, kills a crippled Zero in a wheelchair, and then promptly dies from Fox Die himself. So, let's talk about plot holes for a second here. Earlier in the game, Eve, or Big Mama, or however you want to refer to her, explained that Big Boss had been locked in an indefinite, unliving state. Not dead, not alive, and this happened years ago. So, if Big Boss has been locked in an unliving state for how many decades, how is he able to walk around so easily? I mean, wouldn't his body have atrophied years ago? And even if he was put together with pieces from Solidus, because Solidus was this perfect clone and everything, you can't tell me that his body is going to work that great. And so, thinking of that, how would he be able to use CQC on Snake and win? Also, how the hell did Zero get there without Snake even noticing? Master of Stealth my ass! God, this scene pisses me off. Number 2. Remember the car chase scene in Metal Gear Solid 1 and how awesome it was? Apparently, that was Konami's cue to put chase scenes in every single Metal Gear game. Seriously, if the Metal Gear games are all about stealth, espionage, action, then how stealthy is riding in the back of an armored car or motorcycle and machine gunning everything in sight? I mean, I understand it's this whole James Bond 007 feel, there's always that big chase scene, but I take more issue to the machine gun toting motorcycle riding scene with Big Mama and Snake than anything. I dislike the fight with the Shagohod on motorcycle in Metal Gear Solid 3, but I hate this section more because it's basically a rail shooter with a crappy gun and terrible aim. At least you can go in circles fighting Shagohod and there's some sort of a pattern to how that works. This is just ridiculous. And number 1, narrative and gameplay integration. Now, don't get up in arms here. Metal Gear Solid 4 has an amazing story. The problem is how they integrate that story into gameplay. This game fails at the basics of storytelling. Take a book as a primary example of integrating a story's description, narrative, and backstory into the actions of the characters in that story. A good story will keep the pace of the events that take place moving, while sprinkling in backstory, scene setting, descriptions of locations, weather, timing. All of these combine to make your basic free-flowing story. Now, apply that to video games. You have the gameplay itself, the cutscenes, the narrative, the boss fights. All of these elements contribute to the total story and require the proper balance to make that perfect game. Now, I know Metal Gear Solid 4 has been acclaimed as a perfect game in review after review after review, but this is 5 years later. This is with a clear, not rose-colored glasses view, and my opinion, Metal Gear Solid 4 does not do that. I would walk for one screen, then get hit with a cutscene. Walk for one screen, then get hit with another cutscene. Walk, cutscene, cutscene, boss fight, cutscene, cutscene, walk, cutscene, car chase, cutscene, bloody cutscene. Every time you turn around, there are more cutscenes. And this is a largely story-driven game. I get that. But it's more than just the volume of cutscenes. It's the length of these cutscenes as well. I'm talking about 10 to 15 minute cutscenes at a time, where you end up putting your controller down and waiting for when you can just play the bloody game again. And it's not just action-driven cutscenes. Sometimes you're forced into codec conversations. Sometimes you watch videos that are just one of the characters talking over top of character art. Both of these examples are the equivalent of reading pages of narration or background information that just don't advance the actual plot. It drives the reader insane, and in this case, it drove me insane because I actually just wanted to play the damn game. Hell, a Heavy Rain had more interaction than this, and it's just an interactive cutscene pretty much. This is almost like traditional JRPGs that hit you with walls and walls of text without any interaction whatsoever. From JRPGs, you expect it. You want to get into a story. You want to feel that sort of immersive world and go into the background and learn everything you possibly can. From Metal Gear Solid, you expect more. I mean, think back to the original Metal Gear Solid. That game had tons upon tons of story, but it never once felt too overwhelming. It was engrossing, because typically the story was presented over top of action that was taking place. You'd have Liquid Snake explaining while he's piloting the Hind D to attack you. Or you have Vulcan Raven going through a monologue while standing there carrying that big Vulcan cannon. It was never too long. Aside from, really, Liquid's final monologue before fighting hand-to-hand with Snake, but that scene was totally worth it. That confrontation between Liquid and Snake was amazing and gave reason why you need to see a cutscene that long. This game has so many scenes where you're just sitting there for 20, 30 minutes watching these things happen with no sort of action, no sort of just... It's talking heads. It's basically what it is. It's talking heads. And in the days of the original Metal Gear Solid, games could get away with it. Nowadays, with games having the level of interactivity and dialogue seen in Fallout and New Vegas, a game like Metal Gear Solid 4 just can't get away with something like that, especially when you're talking about complex government terms. I mean, we don't care about the finer background of GOP or SOP or Absolute Zero or PMCs versus state militaries. Just give us what we need to do, what we need to know, and send us on our way. Too many times did I have to really just wait around to play this game after a marathon of cutscenes. But you know what? What I did wait around to see was pretty amazing, and we're going to get to that next time. As we wrap up Pile of Shame, Metal Gear Solid 4, we are going to look at the best parts of this game. So thanks for watching. That is what I consider the 5 worst aspects of Metal Gear Solid 4. I'm Jeff Johnson, and this is Game On.
Game on. Don't worry, we have all the codes.
111-1111. Damn. 111-1112. Damn. 111-1113.
You're listening to Game On GameNTrain.com.
Oh yes, 8675309. That's it. No wait, that's not it. Damn you, Tommy Two-Tone!